All right. Do you know the way? Who know the way? She is a false queen. Spit on the false queen. Do you know the way? Do you know the way? Hey. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a fucking computer science tech genius, so I'm pretty proud of myself that I actually got this operation working. especially considering that I was mostly using YouTube how-to guides to set this thing up. So, what's up, everybody? I've got a green light that says go. We've got plenty of material to talk about. It's a beautiful, chilly winter Tuesday night in America, in the U.S., particularly in Louisiana, where I'm in. I hope it's the weather's as good as it is over here for you as it is for me. So we are going to be taking advantage of that by staying inside with some coffee, maybe some hot cocoa, maybe some s'mores and marshmallows, and talking about a stream that happened not too long ago. I would say about 15 to 30 minutes ago, between Sargon Avocado and Mr. Metokur. So if you don't know about all of the Twitter drama with Andy Worski and Mr. Metokur and Crowd T and all those guys, I would encourage you to get the fuck out this stream, because you're not going to have any idea what I'm talking about as far as this stream goes. But I was listening to the stream, and I was absolutely fascinated by what these guys are talking about, because I think ultimately it's going to prove to be the difference of agreement that is going to splinter the quote-unquote skeptic community. Because, 2 years ago, Sargon and Mr. Metokur would have been considered part of the same group. I think most people would consider Mr. Metokur a skeptic 2 years ago. They don't do so anymore. And now with Sargon's new term, liberalist, I think no one's going to be calling themselves a skeptic anymore, except for maybe Armored Skeptic. He's the last one in that group. But what we're now seeing is, I think, a difference in personality more than anything. It's a difference in people who want to use YouTube to actually advance a public good or purvey some type of activism into real life, and others who just want to shitpost. And I think you see Sargon and Mr. Metokur exemplify those 2 points of view pretty well. So let's get started. I've got the audio riled up, and we're just going to go through it line by line.
Yep, I'll mute myself.
Okay, we should be live. So I'm here with Jim.
I'm also extremely sick. I'm trying to not pass out while I'm doing this, but so we'll see how this goes. But anyway.
Otherwise known as Mr. Metokur. And we're just going to be talking a little bit about Sargon's video that he just put out.
So that voice you hear is Louis Le Vau, and that's whose channel this is on. And if you want to watch the original stream, you can go on there and do it yourself. And he originally planned this stream to have just with Mr. Metokur. And I think what he wanted to do was sort of persuade Mr. Metokur to come over to the dark side, to persuade him that what Sargon is actually doing is actually a good thing and a righteous thing.
Earlier, where he is floating the idea of organizing. You took some real issue with what Sargon said in that. And the thing about it is that I'm not really sure what your issue is with it, and like where exactly you disagree.
Well, it wasn't an issue. I was laughing at it. That was the main thing I was doing. And my assessment on the whole liberalist thing struck me as kind of cringy, a little bit gay as fuck. So I was having a nice laugh at it, which I've been doing for about the past 3 hours, especially.
Well, that's fine. I mean, you could just say it's lame or whatever, and that's cool.
That's what I did.
Well, fine, but that's the thing is that, like, I don't really understand, though, but would you even disagree, then? Like... Would
I disagree with...
with the intention, with what Sargon wants to do with it.
It seems a bit fart-huffy to me, I guess. Saying you've got
when everyone's been putting pressure on Sargon for months and months to be some kind of activist, and even the people on the alt-right declare him so, and yet... when he finally actually says, like, sure, I'm going to host events, I'm going to see what we can do to organize something, then all of a sudden it's some kind of big deal. It's some kind of lame thing. But it's like, no, this is what everyone's been saying.
Well, I can't speak for everyone. I can speak for myself. Like I said, it strikes me.
No, this is the whole fucking skeptic community meme. This is the whole thing. Like,
So right here, the stream starts off perfectly, because this is basically the two positions that you need to stake out going into this debate, and Sargon comes a little bit later. We'll probably fast forward to him. But the basic argument is that you can be on the internet to either shitpost, or you can be on the internet to raise awareness and to advance your political cause. And those are the two purposes of, you know, doing political shit on YouTube. Metokur is taking the position that to be on YouTube, the main point for him is to shit post and to laugh and to make fun of people and to look at all the cringy shit going on and making fun of it. Louis Le Vau is taking the position that Sargon of Akkad takes, which is that we can use the work we've developed on YouTube, and we can actually translate that into real life and help real life causes. And Mr. Metokur considers that cringy. So these are the two sides.
every single time people.
Well, bro, you gotta let me answer.
Okay, fine. Sorry.
You gotta let me answer. Calm down a little bit.
Go ahead.
Eat it. You're getting a little hot on me.
That's fine.
No, I said in his video where he says, holy shit, what was it? A large group of independent-minded individualists. That just strikes me as funny. That's a funny that's a funny sound clip.
It's true, though. That's...
large group would be described as what? A collective, right?
No.
It's not a...
It would be a group of... Do you not understand what individualism is? Like, it's not just some sort of...
You know what the definition of collective is?
Yes, but there's a difference
together.
between individual and individualism and collectivism.
Yes, but I said collective, didn't I?
So then what's your point?
Would it be described as a collective? Would it be described as a collective?
Sure, yes. It's a group.
Okay,
it
it's
would
a
be
collective
a group.
where he made a video talking about our enemies, and he outlines a list of goals. So if it's not a collective, if it's just individualist, that means anybody can say they're a liberalist and then speak for the group, because the group doesn't speak for them. So I could say I'm a liberalist and I want to gas all the Jews. And that's completely fine. That's what a liberalist is, right?
If it went as far as to actually be something to the degree that was professional, where it would be some sort of organization, or if it was actually something actually organized by Sargon himself, it would have membership, and I think he said that as much.
So membership, leadership, a directive, stated goals?
It depends on the structure. It depends on what it turns out to be. As far as I can tell so far, it's true.
So Jim is actually making an interesting point here. He's saying that because Sargon is actively trying to organize a group of people who are purporting themselves to be individualists, it is by definition self-defeating, because to be an individualist is to have a difference of opinion. So you're trying to blanket all of these people into the same agenda, when they by the very fact of them being individualists and thinking for themselves, they can't do that. And that's actually an interesting argument, but I think the thing to take away here is that obviously Sargon is trying to form a group of people who have very certain individualistic notions of being, anti-SJW, being pro-free speech and stuff like that. So I think there's a little bit of talking past each other right here.
Just floating the idea of...
Yeah, and so far it strikes me it's funny to say a group of independent-minded individualists, that it feels like it's headed towards a collectivism.
How is it wrong to have a group of people that have shared...
Me laughing at something I find funny is decrying it as right.
No, but the reason you find it funny is nonsensical.
It's because it's cringy.
Okay,
it's
sure.
It's cringy to me. That's why I find it funny. I find, fedora tipping Atheism Plus to be cringy as well.
Sure.
I think Kekistan is cringy as well.
Sure.
I mean, that shit strikes me as funny.
Okay, sure. But isn't that the point of Kekistan? Isn't that the point, is to be funny? Is to meme on, identitarianism?
Well, the identitarianism.
It is a meme, you know. Kekistan is a meme.
When you fucking identify as Kekistani.
But do you think that people are doing so seriously? Do you think that they actually think it exists?
When they're buying fucking merchandise and flags, yeah, I think that's pretty fake here. I gotta be honest with you. I think it's pretty cringe-inducing, if I was honest with you.
Okay.
I actually agree with that. Kekistan was very funny when it was originally conceived of by Sargon of Akkad, I believe. I believe the Sargon's the one who kind of created that. But now, you know, it's kids, 15-year-old kids buying Kekistan T-shirts. Not a good look.
Okay. I mean, you're asking for my assessment. I'm telling you the perspective I'm taking.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I find it to be cringy.
Oh, okay, but it's just like, but the point is that you keep stressing the individualist part of it, as if that by itself is something that should be mocked in terms of those people coming together.
Well, when you go forward and say, you know, individualist, and then you're like, well, we need to activize.
How many times did he say it versus how many times you're saying it?
Well, in the Spencer stream previously, he's mentioned he's an individualist, or he
Yes,
doesn't.
he is.
The collectivism,
He
right?
is.
Forming a collective.
No, it's a group of people coming together because
That's
they have
what a
shared
collective
beliefs.
is. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I'm not disagreeing with you, but what you're saying is that this is somehow it's going to have some sort of.
I get it. You
orthodoxy.
don't get my humor. I get it, and you see it differently than I do. I understand that, but I find it to be funny. I find it to be cringy. And if you guys take this so seriously, like I have a feeling like you're doing right now, and like he might be doing, like other people might be doing, it's gonna end in tears by the end of the year.
I don't think so. I mean, if it went
You're
to some.
way too up your own asses about this already. It hasn't even been like 9 hours, and you're way too up your own asses about it.
So just a little background, because I think it's important to know that I think it was earlier today, Sargon actually came out with the definition of liberalist, which is a word he thought of, because he was reading some of his subscribers, and they were saying that he wasn't taking his responsibility as a public commentator seriously. And Sargon said, you know, they may be right, because even though I don't conceive of myself as a public figure, to them I am and a leader. To them I am a leader. I am a leader of whatever this movement is. So if they're going to label me as such, I will act as such. Which is a marked change in perception from what he's usually been saying over the past few months about, you know, he would usually just say, I speak for myself and nobody else. So he's sort of beginning the new year with this on the sort of war path of, okay, we'll build a movement.
I don't really think so. I think that I mean, if it was something that would be organized formally into some sort of like new like political party or something like that, yeah, maybe then it would be way too extreme, way too fast. But all that's been announced so far is live events, and like I said, there just seems to be way too much reading into that. And
Okay, well, what are the live events for? I mean, if it's just Sargon doing like This Week in Stupid and that kind of stuff, why call it liberalist? Why not just say like
because it's
Sargon's
actually
gonna
something.
be
As far as I know about it, it's going to actually be more about the beliefs. It's going to actually be more
what
positive.
beliefs?
Individualism, liberalism, specifically.
Okay, so a political ideology,
Generally, yeah.
a political group, a political
Yeah.
voting bloc.
I mean, if it ever reached that level, that would require a lot of fucking money and organization.
But that's the aim, though. Or are you just all
Maybe
taking the piss out? And...
I would say activism would be a right word. Or am I accurate?
Okay, but so activism as into what? To spreading the gospel of liberalism or a liberalist? I mean, what's the goal? I guess.
Liberalism. As far as I know, the only reason why Sargon didn't take the actual word liberal, because I think we both are aware that when we're talking about liberalism or classical liberalism, liberal is actually the correct word to use. But the problem is that because you and I are both American and we know that liberal basically means progressive at this point, and it's used more as a pejorative at this point than any kind of accurate statement as to.
No, I get that. There's baggage
Right.
for the word. I totally get that.
Yeah. So the whole point of liberalist, as far as I'm aware of it, is just to move away from that and actually make it something distinct and a descriptor that you can just use. That's easy to use, and it's actually unique.
So in my personal opinion, that there really isn't too much that Jim can say against this point of view. Louis is saying, look, we are activists. We are organizing our channels to advance a political agenda, and we are going to translate that into real life. And Jim is countering that by saying that, well, that's cringy. And I think what that boils down to is just two fundamental ways of perceiving this whole YouTube community. That Jim is saying these guys are taking themselves way too seriously, and they should just be focused on, having fun with each other and shitposting. Whereas, Louis and Sargon are saying, no, what we actually have to do is use the ground we've gained for ourselves to actually advance a political agenda and stop, some of the bad things going on in the world. I'm going to skip to where Sargon gets into the room. If you give me 1 second. Okay.
I don't know if I should give you permission or not.
Jim.
That's the thing that you're going to have to come to terms with, isn't it?
So, Sargon, what's with the fucking fart huffing?
Well, I think Louis explained it.
Well, you can explain it, because does he speak for you?
Yes, he's my minion.
Yeah, not yet. He's got to pay me. The check hasn't cleared yet, so I'm waiting.
Jim, honestly, are you not, watching your own reaction to this?
Yeah, all I know is I'm making some jokes on Twitter. I get pulled in here. You're in the comment section.
Yeah,
and now you're in the call.
I mean, this is so weird. Should we just let the SJWs carry on unopposed? Because it'd be.
Oh my God, Sargon! Yeah, we need the freedom fighter of Sargon of Akkad to go win the West for the world.
We don't.
Without
you saying
without you, we'll be in shackles, Sargon.
Social justice, buddy.
Without you, we'll be in shackles. We need you to save us.
Probably not.
Speaking stupid is the greatest weaponization against.
That's the thing, though. At least he wants to do something, and that's all I think is something. It's all I'm recognizing here is that he's one of the few people that actually wants to try something, and I'm like, good, let's do it. What's wrong with that?
Great. And like I said, I find it funny how he's going about it, and I find the name to be funny.
It's the only one I could think of. I mean, it logically makes sense, and it's not already taken. So,
why didn't you go with individualist?
Because it's a description of what a liberal is. It's a component of liberalism.
Yeah.
You don't think
liberalism has been on the nose,
honestly, when someone who understands political philosophy explains to you why, being shocked that a group of individualists can form a group, you're going to feel really dumb. I'm not even joking.
Oh my God, do I need to read more? Do I need to read some more Locke to get up on your level? To get up on your level and understand things better?
It's not like my level. It's just what the things mean.
This is pretty basic, man. It's kind of ridiculous. It's why I wanted to talk to you. It's really why I wanted to talk.
I don't think so, Louis. What I think is that you didn't like me making fun of this, and so this just comes across as really.
It's uncool. It's totally uncool, dude. It's. I don't get me wrong, right? I agree with you. It is the lamest fucking thing.
So my basic assessment, I think that both Sargon and Jim are right in certain respects, because Jim is calling out Louis by saying, Louis, you're getting pissed off that I'm making fun of your little movement, your activist movement, so you invited me here on this live stream, which is entirely correct on Jim's part. But on the other hand, Sargon is saying, look, this is uncool, but we're trying to advance some political notions. We are trying to be activists. We're organizing. And it may not be cool, but it's still something that I feel that is important to do, which is totally Sargon's right. So that's my basic position on this section.
You are way cooler than this, and I don't know why you're wasting any of your time on it.
Well, because I was invited. The quartering said Louis wanted to talk, so I was like, all right, I'll pop in.
Well, he did.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, it's totally fucking lame. I agree with you.
Okay, well, this was educational, Sargon.
Did you want to tell people
you're going to
what you
change
did
the
believe?
world.
Because
I'm sure you're going to change the world with your SJW videos. I look forward to you winning the West.
Are you running away?
I said I look forward to you winning the West. I'm giving you congratulations. I'm so in your camp.
That's the thing, isn't it? You agree with what I believe.
No, I don't, because I think it's dumb what you're doing. I think that this organization and politicalization of your YouTube videos is fucking retarded.
Not my method of action, but what I believe, you agree with, don't you?
Okay, list your beliefs off. Let's go down the list.
Sure. I think we should have individual rights. We should have freedom of opportunity, we should have access to markets, personal responsibility. I mean, are there any things here that you're disagreeing with?
Well, is there anything that specifically nails that down as liberalism? Is it, like compared to conservatism?
Political philosophy, commonly known as liberalism.
Yeah, I'm saying what differentiates what you just said in the vaguest of terms from conservatism?
Conservatism is a variant of liberalism. It's like a bifurcation of it. But the problem, I don't think you must understand that we're currently facing people who, the reason I'm talking about it on these like basic principle level is because the people we're dealing with disagree on the basic principle level.
And what people are you disagreeing with? Because you talked about your enemies in that video. So who are your enemies?
The SJWs and the alt-right.
Wait, no. So the alt-right is your enemy?
Yeah. Have you not looked at the way they treat me?
Did they not treat you kindly?
Do you think they did?
I don't know. People talk shit on the internet all the time. I get shit talked on the internet all the time.
Well, that's good. I don't do that as much.
You don't get shit talked?
No, I get shit talked all the time. I just don't spend too much time indulging in it.
Okay. So, are you
seriously? What beliefs do you have that are inconsistent with just the sort of classical Enlightenment liberalism? What do you?
Okay. No, this is what I'm more curious about now. Now I'm interested. So you're going to counter the SJWs, but what are you going to do?
So this is where I think the argument on both sides begins to fall apart a little bit, because Sargon is basically arguing the whole, give me one example of something about the liberalist point of view that you disagree with, and Jim's saying I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the fact that it's a cringeworthy name and a cringeworthy not even ideology, because he's not even focusing on the ideology itself. He's just focusing on how this whole thing is being presented, and that seems to be where this is going. There are going to be YouTubers like Sargon and V who take all of this politics on YouTube stuff very seriously and want to use it to advance, to forward their causes into the real world. And there will always be guys like Jim who sees this as a type of fedora tipping, and YouTube internet people who are taking themselves too seriously. And to an extent, I think they're both right. You can take yourself too seriously on YouTube and pretty easily. I think most people on the whole the skeptosphere or the alt-right or all these stupid fucking circles, most of them who have any degree of popularity, most of the time they take themselves too seriously, and I think that's very unfortunate. But when you go from being an unknown guy to being having 15,000 subscribers, it can become very easy to like the smell of your own farts. Especially when you have these people who make deviant art about you and hang on your every word. So it's an interesting type of fame. It's different than becoming a movie star or something, because it happens a whole lot quicker. But on the other hand, just becoming a troll for the sake of being a troll is equally cringy, and I think if you do that full stop, you just become an annoying douchebag on Twitter. There are a million people like that who just try to derail conversations and be pieces of shit. I don't think Jim is a 100% troll. I think he does have a political opinion, and he will say that opinion when asked of him. He has a heart and he has a brain, but he tailors his skill set to just kind of laughing at all of the shit that goes on the internet, which I don't think is being a troll per se. It's being sort of a YouTuber who's able to have a sense of humor about himself. So I guess what I'm saying, I think both of these points of view, I think they're both right, and I think they're both wrong here. You can be, if you want to have, a serious agenda, you can have it. I mean, look at Richard Spencer. He's gaining a lot of popularity right now because he's on YouTube after that Andy Worski debate. So it's obviously gaining him a lot of traction. So it is possible to take political advantage of stuff like this. But on the other side of it, being a Twitter troll like Jim, can have adverse side effects as well. So, yeah, I think I'll cut it off there because the rest of the debate is more of the same, and I think I made my position pretty clear on it. So, I'll let you guys. I'm going to sleep, guys. I'm fucking sick of shit. See ya.